times had already become dangerous. We fled from Brussels. We left when the German armies were approaching Brussels. We were in Dunkirk at the time of the first bombardment in a restaurant having dinner. We took the coastal road in the direction roughly, well, it was Normandy, you know. There was already chaos. There was no more border control. The French police took us off the road. They said the enemy was near. All civilians off the road, and that was that. Within an hour or so of that order, the firing started around us. There was a small French troop behind us. Luckily, we didn't get hurt. Some people did. We were under our car. And of course, you know the end of it. The French lost. They had a very small group there and surrendered. So now we were in enemy territory. That is the chateau in Noyelles-sur-Mer, where we stayed for 5 or 6 weeks during the war. And that's where I almost got killed when I was picking strawberries. And a British bomb hit, but didn't explode. We stayed in the tower on the left on the upper floor. The rest of it was occupied by the Germans that used it as their headquarters and dormitory. We went to the cellar almost every night. There was an amusing incident there in the beginning. I noticed that the French people had bottles of oil in wine bottles, but they were labeled huile. And then they had wine bottles, and I thought, the Germans were drinking like crazy when they were in the cellar. I mixed the oil and the wine bottles, and I thought that was a funny thing to do. I had several victims. I mean, they wouldn't even take a corkscrew. They broke the head of the bottle and guzzled it. When it came time to leave, we had to get gasoline. We found a way of going to abandoned cars with little rubber tubes and any kind of bottle, and we would suck on the rubber tube till the gasoline came up and started the flow of it, and we would fill bottles and empty them into the tank. We finally got to the demarcation line. Oh, by that time we had USA written all over the car in white letters, big white letters on each door, USA, and on the roof. And my mother had made a little flag out of rags resembling a United States flag, because that's not an easy one to make. And we were flying that little flag on the aerial. We drove to Vichy, where, as we drove into the town, they were expecting the government to come in, and they thought we were the American embassy. It was very amusing. People were cheering us as we drove into the town with the USA all over the car. Anyway, we went to my uncle's apartment. We went in and lived there for maybe 6 weeks. Vichy was a little bit dangerous. I mean, after all, there were Germans coming there. We didn't think it was the best place to stay, so we went on to Lyon. In Lyon, we stayed for long time, maybe 6 months. We stayed in a hotel. While we were in Lyon, our main occupation was to gather food, because food was very scarce from Lyon. We went to Marseille. By that time, we had, I think, obtained American visas. We had relatives here, and they got us visas. From Marseille, we went by train through Madrid to Sevilla, where we caught a freighter called Navemar. By bribing members of the crew, my father got a cabin. The trip took, I think, more than a month. It went to Bermuda, where we just had a day's stop. I guess the ship needed to reprovision. I got off the ship. I was the only one that got off there, because I noticed that the British troops were wearing white shorts and long socks and white shirts, and I had white shirts and white shorts and long socks. So I dressed up like that and snuck off the ship to buy oranges, which was something we badly needed. The food on the ship was atrocious. And anyway, we got to New York in September of 1941, just before the outbreak of the war in December.